Ladies and gentlemen, the time is here. The best pay-per-view of the year. UFC 319, Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev for the middleweight belt in Chicago, Illinois. This is the most stacked card of this year, in my opinion. There are amazing fights everywhere. And to be honest with you, I would sell my kidney to see this main event. This is my most anticipated matchup of this entire year. And so we're going to be predicting and breaking down all of the best fights on the card, and there are a lot of them, and I'm going to be giving out my fight card awards. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight into the first fight of Edson Barboza versus Drakkar Klose. Now, we're kicking it off with one of the toughest matchups I had to predict on this card. This is not easy because both of them, they're kind of at the same skill level, to be honest. Granted, Edson Barboza's had more like high level experience. Drakkar Klose, he hasn't looked bad at lightweight. Like, since he lost to Beneil Dariush, he went on a pretty good run, and then he ran into Joel Alvarez in his last fight and got pieced the fuck up. But aside from that, he is good with his boxing. He's good with his strike accuracy. He is more accurate than Edson Barboza and has good strike defense. He's the more like gritty fighter. But Edson Barboza on the other side, he's faster. He's got more versatile kicks, and he's just the more dynamic striker in general. And at range, with that 5-inch reach advantage, Edson Barboza does have good tools against Drakkar Klose here. Now, it really does depend who gets off the mark first. And I do think with the speed and the dynamic striking, I do think Barboza is going to be the one to get off the mark quicker. But Edson Barboza moving up to lightweight. He's moving back from featherweight up to lightweight. His lightweight career wasn't the greatest, to be honest. And I do think here he's going to pack more of a punch on his shots, but I do think his stamina, especially at almost 40 years old, could wane a fair bit. And that's where I think Drakkar Klose is going to take the last half of the fight more so, especially with his boxing, with that strike accuracy he has at that range, and with the clinch range, making it dirty. I do believe he can do that well in the second half of the fight, but I think the first half of the fight, Edson Barboza is going to be too fast. He's going to use that reach advantage. He's going to work well on the outside, and he's going to use that dynamic striking. And I do believe it's going to be an Edson Barboza split decision. I think he's going to outweigh with the volume in the first and second rounds, and Drakkar Klose is going to make it gritty, land better shots, hurt Barboza in the third, but too little too late. I've got Barboza by that split, with the second round being that sway round between control and volume. Now, moving up the card to another tough matchup, King Green, Bobby Green, whatever you want to fucking call him, versus Diego Ferreira. Now, this is definitely interesting from the matchmakers, because even though Green is coming off pretty damn rough losses, you know, he lost to Mauricio Houfi by that spinning heel kick, and he lost to Paddy Pimblett before that. Even though that happened, I honestly think that this could be a pick'em fight, because we have Ferreira. Granted, he went like fucking god mode against Mateusz Rebecki and took him out, like tripled the guy's output, controlled him extremely well. But stylistically, it's a pretty awkward matchup for Ferreira to fight Bobby Green, because Bobby Green, I'm just going to call him Bobby, because he has high volume. He's really good with his movement as well. And if it stays purely at boxing range, I think Bobby can honestly steal this fight. He can. He's faster on the feet. He's got the volume there, and he's got decent takedown defense. But the actual control and grappling is definitely at an advantage to Diego Ferreira here. And if Ferreira mixes up his game, he can 100% take this. And honestly, I am feeling a split decision here, but I do have to go for Ferreira's way. I do think Green, especially with the damage that he took against Houfi and the consistency of damage. I mean, we know what happened with Jalen Turner. Got choked out unconscious badly against Paddy Pimblett. I mean, it's weighing down on him, and Ferreira's just looked more impressive. Granted, against lesser opposition, but he just has looked more impressive. And as an MMA fight, he's got more tools. He's better in the clinch. He's better with his control, and he does have good volume on his day. And if Ferreira is at his best, Green is at his best, I think Ferreira does win this fight overall. Getting the control, landing some good shots, especially with the two. He's got a really nice straight shot, but I do think the control overall, he's just going to be too strong in the clinch-based exchanges against Green in this matchup. Moving up the card to GM3 versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. Now, there is a very big contrast in styles here, and if we are looking any further back in their careers, I'd be hunting the GM3 submission sprinkle. That would look hella tasty right now, I've got to say that. But the new mythical fighter, the fighting nerds trained Michal Oleksiejczuk, is going to be coming back hard in this fight. He has done the hard yards. He fought KO Baralho. He fought Michel Pereira. He fought Sharabort, got fucked up by all of them. So I think this is his time where he turns the page. And as long as he doesn't end up on the ground early, I think he's going to be taking Gerald Meerschaert out pretty emphatically here. Honestly, I think mixing the takedown defense and the technical striking that would be drilled into him in that Fighting Nerds gym, I think he's going to be a threat from here. Not like a top 15 threat, I'm not saying that, but I think a threat to GM3 and to a lot more fighters outside the rankings. Because we know he's got the damn power there. He's 15-1 with KOs. He just mixes more technical striking and that takedown defense. I mean, he's going to be fucking some people up. So realistically, I think Michal Oleksiejczuk, he's going to be taking Gerald Meerschaert out in the first round here. He's got the boxing and the strike speed there. And if the takedown defense is clutch, I mean, he's just a lot more dangerous there because them both sitting on the feet, it's just a matter of time before Meerschaert gets taken out. Meerschaert's taken a fair bit of damage in his career. He got dropped bad against Renier de Ridder. Brad Tavares as well. He's on a 0-2 in his last two, so it's not looking fantastic for him. And I think Michal Oleksiejczuk, he's going to be reborn in this matchup. Moving up the card to Jessica Andrade versus Loopy Godinez. Now, this is a pretty interesting fight to me because physically, both of these girls are pretty much the same size. Usually they're fighting someone that's a lot bigger than them, especially Andrade moving up to flyweight. So it's very interesting stylistically how they're going to deal with each other. And I'm also very happy that Loopy's getting this opportunity. And she beat Pilastri in her last fight. And granted, she did lose to Mackenzie Dern and she did lose to Verna Jandiroba, who are both top flight opposition. But before that, you got to remember, 2023, she was like one of the most successful women's MMA fighters period in that year because she went 4-0. She was mixing up her MMA game really well, was really diving into that wrestling based game. And that's what she needs to do here if she wants to win. If she mixes up her MMA game, she will win this fight. And she's got more tools than Jessica Andrade. And I do think that Jessica Andrade is, I think MMA in general is just past her experience. She's just not looking good, especially just since the Mackenzie Dern win that she had. And Mackenzie Dern, I mean, her strike defense is abysmal. So Jessica Andrade just kind of just got a pretty free win there when it came to standing on the feet. Since then, she just hasn't looked impressive. Went and fought Jasuda Vicious, got absolutely annihilated. And going against Loopy Godinez, who has wrestling on her side and is defensively way better than Andrade everywhere. Unless Andrade is really pressing Loopy on the back foot and is just throwing haymakers the entire time and making Loopy shell up, I don't see Andrade winning the fight here because both of them super low center of gravities. And I don't think that Loopy Godinez is someone that's going to be easy to take down here. And Andrade, more so, if Godinez is trying to take her down, she's going to find more success. And then when it comes to the strike defense, Andrade's got pretty shit strike defense. Godinez is much better with that guard. And also when it comes to volume, Andrade is just like, she's got high volume, but it's not technical. Whereas Loopy's just got better boxing fundamentals, good 1-2, good tight guard. And I think just overall, in terms of utilizing an MMA game better, Loopy Godinez just does that much better, and I've got to take her by a decision here. I think she's just better with her wrestling, better with her grappling transitions, better with her fundamental boxing, and I think that she can just take this fight realistically anywhere. But I do believe that she's going to struggle probably in the start, probably in the first round. I think Andrade is just going to really utilize high volume in that first round, just really press, got to get some good impact with those shots. And also with Loopy in this matchup is her reach. Her reach isn't like a terrible disadvantage. She's going to be able to land those shots a lot easier. She's not fighting like a Verna Jandiroba who has a better reach and just sticks the jab at her. That's where she doesn't have those struggles. And I think without those struggles, she's really going to be able to get inside, utilize better striking. And I do think that she's going to be able to take rounds 2 and 3. Andrade round 1 just going to be a bit more explosive, and I think Loopy's going to take that 29-28 unanimous decision. Now moving up to a certified banger, we have got Bryan Battle versus Nursulton Ruziboev at middleweight. Now I'll highlight middleweight because both of these guys have fought at welterweight in their UFC tenure. Bryan Battle, he can fight at welterweight or middleweight. He's moved up to middleweight because of his Randy Brown fight, which he robbed, as well as he missed weight in that fight. So he's moved up and he looked good in middleweight beforehand, so it's not much of an issue there. But Nursulton Ruziboev, I think, is a crucial move up for him. You know, he lost to Joaquin Buckley. He didn't look super impressive there. He looked very drawn out. And him moving up to middleweight, the power translation and just the weight in general looks so much better for him. I think Battle can fight at welter or middle. Ruziboev should never go down to welterweight again. But looking at this fight in middleweight, I think it's just the best for both of them overall. So I think we're going to see the best out of the two of them. And Ruziboev, that straight right damn hand, just straight down the pipe, is the most dangerous tool in this fight. But when it comes to tools, he does lack the tools. He doesn't have an amazing offensive arsenal on the feet. He only has a couple of strikes, whereas Bryan Battle really mixes up heavy output, really nice boxing on the front foot to just overwhelm the opponent, which he did fantastically well to Kevin Jusay. And when it comes to a clinch-based game, Bryan Battle is just the stronger guy. He's better positionally when it comes to those clinch-based exchanges. And if this is staying at like kickboxing to boxing range, and if they're at even pressure or Battle's getting pressed back, I won't be surprised if Ruziboev knocks him the fuck out, to be honest. But is Bryan Battle going to let that happen? I just don't really think so. I think Battle's just so good at forward pressuring the entire time, using good head movement as well, and also just utilizing that clinch game, timing that clinch game extremely well. And I do think that he's just going to be able to overwhelm Ruziboev with the boxing and the clinch work in this fight. And granted, Ruziboev, he's 20-1 with submissions, but it's heavily skewed by poorer opposition. I don't think that that means that Battle can just overrun Ruziboev on the ground. Definitely don't think that, but Battle can definitely compete with him on the ground. And when it comes to the strength in the clinch, I think Ruziboev is just really going to be wanting to keep this at range, but I think he's going to really struggle with that. Now, I do think that this is just going to be a very safe, pressure heavy, similar to the Randy Brown fight from Bryan Battle, and I think it's going to be a 29-28 decision for him. If it stays at range, just calling it now, do not be surprised if Ruziboev takes him out. But if Bryan Battle overwhelms him from the jump and is really landing the boxing, I think he could get another Kevin Jusay win here and take Ruziboev out even so. But I'm more comfortable in Bryan Battle getting the decision here at 29-28. I think that he's going to really pick it up through the second and third rounds. I think Ruziboev is going to hurt Battle in the first, and I think Battle's just going to really just dig it through and get through the second and third round, get the more impactful shots in the second and third, with Ruziboev getting the most impactful shot in the first. And then I think with that control and just with that smothering-based ability that he has, he's going to take it 29-28. Moving up the card to Chase Hooper versus Alexander Hernandez. Now, this is probably like the easiest one to pick on this card, to be honest. It's honestly not an easy card to pick in general, but this one is pretty easy. I think Hooper is just going to be able to run circles around Alex Hernandez without too much issue, to be honest. I think he's just better everywhere. He's on a 5-fight win streak. He's got the momentum. He's young and he's hungry, and Hernandez has been pretty hit or miss in his career, to be honest. And I do think that he has to use like a 15-minute clinch fest to try and out-muscle Hooper and just get control in this fight, but it has to be in the clinch, because on the ground, I think he's just going to get wrecked by Chase Hooper's grappling, pretty simply. And when it comes to the feet, Chase Hooper, especially against Vyacheslav Borshev, just annihilating him and that striking pedigree he showed, I just don't think there's really a way out for Alex Hernandez here. I think Chase Hooper is just going to really lay it on him with the range and the speed on the feet, especially being in southpaw. Chase Hooper being in southpaw against Hernandez in orthodox, there's going to be the lead hand fight. Hooper's gotten a really nice jab now, and he's got the strike speed, so he's going to be quicker to the punch. He's going to be mincing Hernandez on the feet, and to that point, I think he's going to mince him so much that Hernandez is going to utilize the wrestling and try and hope shoot on Hooper, to where Hooper is going to secure a guillotine finish or some form of choke, maybe a Das or an anaconda there. And quite simply, I'm giving him my Performance of the Night award here. I'm very confident he's taking this fight one way or another. That's why the odds are in his favor, of course. being that much of a favorite. To be fair, I agree with that, and I think it could actually be swelled even more. Now, when it comes to the strike defense of Hernandez, though, I will say it's actually pretty decent, but he is going to have to deal with that jab just mincing him in southpaw from Chase Hooper. I feel like if it was orthodox versus orthodox, I'd be more secure in Hernandez possibly making it to a decision, but with the lead hand fight of Hooper just really piecing him up and then getting that choke finish after Hernandez has just had enough on the feet, yeah, pretty simply, second round, it's going to be a submission for Chase Hooper. Now, moving on to our stacked main card, we're kicking it off with Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. Now, Kai Asakura, as you can see, 15th ranked. So after getting annihilated by Pantoja, he still manages to get a ranking position. Now, I usually would be pretty mad about that, but when it comes to a matchmaking perspective from the UFC, I'm not mad at this matchup because Tim Elliott, he gives an unorthodox test everywhere for everyone that he fights, and it's great for a fresh matchup like Asakura because Elliott, he's a good gatekeeper for Asakura to prove himself against. And Asakura, I mean, if he's not getting past Tim Elliott, he's not ranking worthy, and if Elliott is not getting past Asakura, then he just doesn't really still have it, does he? He did look great against Sumadurgi in his last fight, but that was almost 2 years ago now, and he's 38 years old in a flyweight division, and he did also sustain an injury leading up to his Tatsuro Taira fight last year, so he's been inactive and he's been injured. And Kai on the other side, he has been active and he will be hungry to get a win after getting exposed on the biggest stage to Pantoja. But I will say, Tim Elliott's not going to be a super easy matchup here. Granted, Kai Asakura is a decent favorite and I agree with that. But I do think that Kai Asakura will struggle towards like the late fight and the early fight. Just when it comes to Tim Elliott's unorthodox movement outside the gate, Kai is going to have to really get his reads there. But when it comes to actually engaging with each other, Kai Asakura has got the striking advantage without a doubt. He's got the strike speed, he's got the strike accuracy, and he's got check hooks if he's getting pressed on the back foot. Like, he's just better than Tim Elliott on the feet. He's also got the flying knee up the middle, which if Elliott's going for a takedown attempt and Asakura times that knee, it's probably going to be KO of the night or finish of the night without a doubt. But I think that's, you know, you're wishing a lot for that to happen. But Tim Elliott, I do think when it comes to his unorthodox wrestling game and also just his striking in general, I think he's going to make Kai Asakura really think in this fight. And I think he's going to be able to steal a round from Asakura. I think it's going to be that third round because he is gritty. I think he's going to make it through. But Kai Asakura, I think he's just going to be too quick off the jump. I think he's going to be able to land the better shots. I think he's going to hurt Elliott in the first round, almost take him out. But I think in the second round, it's going to be a closer fight. I think Elliott's going to be more defensive. And then I think he's just going to really turn it on Asakura in that last round to try and steal the win back. But Asakura, with the strike speed and everything that he has there, I just think that he's going to be able to win a decision here. I think he's going to be able to stifle the takedowns of Elliott. He's got really nice whizzes and he can use offensive double legs and trips himself. So that's something that Elliott needs to be careful of too. But I think Kai Asakura's takedown defense later into the fight is good enough. I mean, he's gone off a fight against Buddy Pantoja to then Tim Elliott, so it is lower in competition, and I think it's really going to shine through in this fight for a 29-28, wins round 1, wins round 2, and then Elliott takes round 3. Now, moving up the card to a fun one, we got Jared Cannonier versus Michael Venom Page, and this did not see this one coming, but it does make a lot of sense for MVP at middleweight because firstly, he did take Shara Bullet's O as a ranked fighter and he does have name value to shoot him up the ranking. So he definitely deserves the single digit ranking fight. Everyone wants to see it anyway. And I do think that that name value will continue to apply here because I think that he will be able to handle Cannonier pretty comfortably in this fight. Don't get me wrong, Cannonier, he is older at 41 years old, but he's gritty as hell. He had a lot of heart in that bloody RoboCop fight, and he also carved up Braulio in their fight. He's never out of the fight, even though he got dropped twice against RoboCop. Just insane. And he's also got no cardio issues, and he does have the strength advantage here. But he's going to have to use all 15 minutes in the clinch without fail or straight up tight in boxing range. Otherwise, MVP is just going to be running circles, which I think that he for the most part, is just going to. MVP is just way too fast and accurate on the feet for Jared Cannonier. And Cannonier his boxing really shines against fighters that just aren't as fast and aren't as technical, like RoboCop. But MVP is just the complete other side. And Cannonier, I just don't think he has the wrestling pedigree to just swallow MVP here. So I'm gonna have to take MVP with all 3 rounds, because MVP isn't gonna really be trying to get Cannonier down, because MVP on the ground against Cannonier is just too strong for MVP. But on the feet, he's just way too quick and way too accurate. I think he's just gonna be picking him apart Adesanya style for 3 rounds here. I think he's gonna be able to get the 30-27 unanimous decision. I think there's just gonna be a big speed difference here, and Cannonier is just not strong enough in the wrestling to make a difference. And if MVP is getting off immediately, could see a late finish in this fight. But as we know with Cannonier's damn durability, I'll take a 30-27 decision here. Now, moving up to an absolutely disgusting matchup between Geoff Neal and Carlos Prates. And I am that keen for this matchup. I was so upset that this got cancelled on the UFC 314 main card. And I am that keen that I'm going to be giving it my Fight of the Night award here. And I can completely justify it. Because firstly, both of these guys are definitely durable, but both of them love to come forward and absolutely throw hands at each other. And I do believe that one of them is getting finished with their styles, without a doubt. And I think that Carlos Prates is going to be finishing Geoff Neal here. I do love Prates, and it's not even bias here, because he's got the longer reach in the arms and the legs, and he's got the Muay Thai base and can fight in a switch stance. He can fight in the orthodox stance, most importantly, because his lead hand fight with that strike speed and the straight strikes he has are really going to put Geoff Neal in trouble here. And Neal, he's not completely out of the fight, don't get me wrong. That's why I think it's going to be Fight of the Night. It's going to be a dirty fight. And if Neal can make it dirty and maintain clinch range to boxing range, he can finish Carlos Prates. Like, I do think if one of them is more durable than the other, Geoff Neal is more durable than Prates, but Carlos Prates, with the stylistic striking matchup he has here, with the Muay Thai base, with the teeps, with the jabs as well, with the knees up the body, those tools that he brings to the table against just a natural boxer like Geoff Neal, it's just not good in terms of a stylistic matchup for Neal. I mean, both have super high volumes and good accuracy, which adds to the point of Fight of the Night, but just can't doubt that stylistic matchup for Carlos Prates on the feet. And on the ground, Geoff Neal is not taking Carlos Prates down. Prates' takedown defense against Ian Garry just solidified the fact for me that his just defense is really top notch. It was insane against Ian Garry. On the other side, Prates could take Geoff Neal down, to be fair, but I don't see that really happening. I think Prates just sits Neal down with a straight down the pipe with the lead hand fight in that orthodox stance, sits him down, transitions on the ground effectively to then get ground and pound to take Geoff Neal out in the second round. Now, moving on to our co-main event, we have Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Pico. This is a very interesting fight because Lerone Murphy, the dude is undefeated in the UFC, in MMA. He is looking fantastic, super good kickboxing, just striking statistics for days. He's super accurate, got high volume, absorbs fuck all strikes, and his strike defense is incredible. And Aaron Pico on the other side is the most wanted fighter outside of the UFC coming in. He is the hottest fighter on the market that the UFC could get, and I can completely explain why, but I explain more so in his Fighter Spotlight video, where I go full in-depth analysis about who Aaron Pico is, all of his strengths, all of his weaknesses, super in-depth, and I also have his Fighter Spotlight video where I pair him up against the top 15 featherweights, including Lerone Murphy. But looking at Lerone Murphy here to dive a bit deeper, this is honestly like a pick'em fight. This is a very hard fight to predict. Now, do I think that Aaron Pico should be a favorite off the bat? When it comes to the style that he does have, I can understand it on paper. He has got extremely good wrestling, a very high level wrestling pedigree, and he's got good boxing, good fundamentals with his boxing, good forward pressure fighter. He's very good at just ripping the body and really good at just landing those heavy KO shots. He has got fucking dynamite in his hands. But can he catch Lerone Murphy? Lerone Murphy on the other side, he is someone that is very elusive, very hard to hit. He's proven it against guys like Dan Ige and Josh Emmett especially. Granted, he did get knocked down by Dan Ige, but that also proves to the point Lerone Murphy's recovery is also in check. But when we look at his fight against Josh Emmett, his fight IQ was just shining. He's got really, really good body shots, like insanely good kicks to the body, teeps to the body. It's really the battle of Lerone Murphy's kickboxing versus Aaron Pico's boxing. But the thing that does come into play here that I don't like for Lerone Murphy is the takedown defense statistic more so. He hasn't faced someone that is so forward pressure heavy with an actual offensive wrestling threat like Aaron Pico. If Aaron Pico can succeed in getting the wrestling early, he can take this fight without a doubt. But if Lerone Murphy is stopping the takedowns and he is able to get through the first round with the dynamite that Aaron Pico has in those hands and stops the forward pressure and circles out laterally effectively, Lerone Murphy can definitely take this fight without a doubt. If he does that and gets through round one, I'm going to be more so heavy on Murphy. But Aaron Pico, I do have to say, and I hate this fight in terms of a pick. Like, I was going back and forth like crazy. Firstly, I will say Lerone Murphy with underdog money, a great pick to take, I'm not gonna lie, even though I am taking Aaron Pico by a decision here. I think Aaron Pico, when it comes to those specific traits that he has, those attributes, those are the things you need to beat Lerone Murphy. To take Lerone Murphy's O, the blueprint is to have dynamite in your hands to either take him out or you have the wrestling to consume him. Technically, Aaron Pico does have those tools. They are the best tools that he does have. The wrestling, world-class wrestling, and the KO power. So he can utilize those, but the thing I really don't like, which I always come to when it comes to these fights, like the fighters like Patchy Mix, when it comes to Patricio Pitbull, the guys that are coming into the UFC, Aaron Pico's level of opposition, not fantastic, not the greatest, especially compared to a guy like Lerone Murphy, who has proven himself against KO killers like Josh Emmett and Dan Ige as well. So it is a very dangerous fight, but I do think Aaron Pico, if he does get Lerone Murphy down, I think Lerone's going to struggle to get back up. Pico's just transitional capabilities on the ground with the wrestling are no joke. And when it comes to that power, I think it's just going to be weighing down a little bit more when Lerone Murphy is picking his body apart to the second to the third round. But Pico just has more impact on his shots. He has more impact on his shots, and I think that that is what's going to fling it through. And I should have made a correction here. I think it's actually going to be a split decision here. I do think so. And if it's, let's be honest here, if it's going to be a split decision, they're going to give it to the fucking American hot prospect. They're not going to give it to the English guy in fucking Chicago. So it's going to be Aaron Pico here. I've got him by a split decision. I think Pico takes round one. He really dominates with the wrestling. I think round two, it's going to be a sway between that wrestling control and Murphy just digging into Pico's body. And then I think Lerone picks it up in the third round against Pico there. If this was 5 rounds, I think Lerone Murphy would probably actually take Aaron Pico out. But with the 3 rounds and Aaron Pico being prepared, I'm saying that now, who fucking knows? But I do think Aaron Pico, split decision here, and I'm going to give him my fighter to watch award because you do need to keep your eyes out for Aaron Pico, the hottest prospect that we do have in the UFC now, coming in from another organization, the hottest one you can get. With the KO power that he does have, the boxing pedigree he does possess is really, really nice. And the wrestling, I think that he does have the tools to just beat Lerone Murphy here. Now, moving up to the absolute god tier matchup that I would sell my fucking kidney to watch. If you give me Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett, if you give me Islam Makhachev versus JDM, or you give me Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria, I would take this fight over any of those fights. Dricus Du Plessis, the third best middleweight of all time behind Izzy and Anderson Silva, and no one's been able to beat him. He's looked fantastic in pretty much every single fight he's fought in. And then Khamzat Chimaev, the unstoppable force, like just insane, like beating absolutely everyone to a pulp And then if he's not beating everyone to a pulp, he's fighting Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns in fight of the night performances, arguably fight of the year performances. He is a stud. Dricus is a stud. Who beats who? We know a lot about them physically and just stylistically. I mean, Dricus Du Plessis, he is the best well-rounded fighter out of the two of them because he has just really good kickboxing, sneaky head kicks, good with high output. He's just really unorthodox in the way he strikes. He's damn strong and he has a grappling game as well. 11-1 with submissions. And Khamzat Chimaev on the other side, we know he's a chain wrestling freak. He's been able to just wipe out everyone when it comes to that chain wrestling. Was able to out wrestle Kamaru Usman for a full round in that first round. And Kamaru Usman literally had to just nosedive to get him off his back and almost knock himself out by putting himself headfirst into the canvas. That's how much impact Khamzat has with his wrestling. Dricus Du Plessis, he's the guy that has more stamina here. He's the one, when we look at a 5-round fight, that's not a fight that Khamzat wants. He's not someone that wants 5 rounds because Khamzat, as we know, his biggest weakness is his stamina. Firstly, it's because he is so dominant and just so pressure heavy with his chain wrestling in every first round he's been in. But I think a thing that people don't talk about too much in terms of the concern of the stamina is Khamzat Chimaev when he had COVID. His lungs got filled with blood. His breathing was completely compromised. His stamina has been skewed from that. I strongly believe, like, if that's happening to that extent with your lungs, I mean, you're not going to fully recover at all, I don't think. There's going to be a part of Chimaev that's never fully recovered. He's a freak of nature, but when it comes to, like, a common cold or COVID, yeah, he gets wiped out. I do think when it comes to that, just in terms of stamina base, it's even more important that Khamzat Chimaev gets this done within the first 2 rounds. Arguably, obviously, favorably, the first round. Now, can he do it? Can he take Dricus Du Plessis down? I think he can. Can he submit Dricus Du Plessis? That's the question mark. Dricus Du Plessis has a really underrated grappling game, defensively and offensively. And you can't forget, this is the strongest physically of an opponent that Khamzat Chimaev has gone against. Dricus Du Plessis is stronger than anyone else that Khamzat Chimaev has gone against. He is going to be preparing like a motherfucker for that first round to make sure that he is not getting taken down, or at least is not getting submitted. If he is able to stifle Khamzat Chimaev in that first round, it all comes down to that first round. If Dricus Du Plessis stops Khamzat in that first round, his confidence will absolutely explode. Dricus Du Plessis will be I can tell you right now, if we get to that second round, Dricus Du Plessis is literally going to be looking across at Khamzat Chimaev going into that second round. He's going to be smiling at him from across the octagon because he knows I'm going to make him mortal. But it does come down to him getting to the second round. Can he do it? And Dricus Du Plessis, he's an underdog, almost a 3-1 dog. That's a big underdog. And Khamzat Chimaev, big favorite, understandably, to be fair, with how dominant he's been. This has been, I've been back and forth on this, I'm not going to lie, but I'm going to go with a Dricus Du Plessis KO TKO. I think Dricus Du Plessis is going to be able to take Khamzat Chimaev out in either rounds 3, 4, or 5. Most likely, if you want me to be specific, I'm going to go round 4, because if Khamzat Chimaev is not getting Dricus Du Plessis out of there in the first round and his stamina wanes, and Dricus Du Plessis has 5-round stamina for days, he does not slow down, he can continue the output continuously over 25 minutes, Khamzat's going to struggle bad because Dricus will not slow down. He won't. He will keep pressing him the entire fight. And Dricus, with that in his mind, that chip that's going to say, imagine the stock I'm going to have if I knock out Khamzat Chimaev, that feeling he's going to have after the second round, if he gets through that first round, he is going to be piecing Khamzat Chimaev up with the kickboxing, I do believe. Like, Chimaev, like, he's a great striker as well. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's got beautiful uppercuts, good teeps as well. Really nice fluid movement on the feet. It's not like he's going to get walked through by Dricus, especially if they stay on the feet the second and third round. It's going to be competitive. Like, Khamzat can even take rounds from Dricus on the feet through the second to possibly the third, but Khamzat's going to slow down, Dricus is not. And that's where Dricus is just going to overwhelm Khamzat. And if Khamzat is taking the rounds in like the first, second, possibly third, Dricus is going to press like fucking crazy in the 4th and 5th. Dricus is not a type of guy that's like, oh, it's close, I'm just gonna glide it out to the decision. Nah, he's not gonna do that. We all know Dricus is not gonna do that. He is gonna go forward and he is just going to try and rip Chimaev's head off. So it comes down to early fight Khamzat, late fight Dricus, and I just think that Dricus, at the end of the day, I think his submission defense is going to be enough to make sure he does not get destroyed in that first round by Chimaev. Could be saying this right now and I could be completely fucking wrong. I take that on the chin. If Khamzat does it, credit to him. It's one of the two options. It's Khamzat submission in the first round or second round, or it's Dricus Du Plessis KO TKO in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th. It's one of those two. I am 100% on that, but I do think that Dricus is the guy to survive Khamzat and expose that cardio and take him out. And if he's doing so with that, I've got to give him my Finish of the Night award firstly, and then I've also got to give him my Upset of the Night award, because if he's doing that as an almost 3-to-1 dog, I think he should be an underdog because of how dominant Khamzat's been, but I don't think he should be this much of an underdog, especially with the performances he's had, with the power he has in his hands, with the overwhelming pressure he has, and with the grappling, the underrated grappling game he has. As long as Dricus's submission defense is on lock, I think he's got this fight. I think he does, because if Khamzat's not submitting him and it goes further in this fight, Dricus got the cardio, Khamzat does not. And if Khamzat does, for some reason, come into this fight with 25 minutes of cardio, God fucking help us all. He will kill everyone. He will absolutely annihilate everyone. He will be a triple champ or something. But ultimately, for my most anticipated fight of this year, I'm going to be taking Dricus Du Plessis. Now, I really hope you enjoyed this UFC 319 predictions video, and I really hope you enjoy the pay-per-view when it comes around, because it is fucking stacked. Now, if you haven't already seen, there's a video just up here on the screen, and please like, comment, subscribe. It goes a long way for the channel, and I will catch you in the next one.